and welcome to another episode of the SD4L show. I'm Justin Thin. I'm here with my co-host Matt Sheehan. Matt, how you doing today on this fine Thursday late afternoon?
Sun is shining, birds are chirping, there's barely a cloud in the sky, but I have to appreciate the dichotomy here of this show. Here I am, mouth stained a little blue and purple because I had no less than 852 frozen blueberries before we started recording. So if you see like a bluish hue in my mouth, no, your eyes or computer screen or TV screen aren't deceiving you. That's just truly what I came in here with. And then there you are, dressed to the nines, Mr. GQ over there, collared shirt. Are you out of your mind? And then just looking like a dapper gentleman. So yeah, this is the yin and the yang that you get with this show. Just someone that barely can look presentable, for any occasion, and someone that just rolls out of bed looking like that. So JT, on that note, how you doing, man? Are we doing? The blueberries were delicious, by the way. I know no one asked, but you want a summer hack? Freeze your blueberries. Anyway, JT, I'll stop talking about my produce choices here, but. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. The reason I'm in a polo is because I just got back from work, in the office. So
Let's go.
Indeed. Continuing to be relentless. But yeah, it's weather's good. Looking brighter on the screen than usual, thanks to all the sunlight coming in, as opposed to doing this at 10:50. So
sure.
Excited to talk this weekend's visitors for sure.
It's only a 6-pack of visitors, but not without star power, not without storylines. We got one guy that's already committed to the class, a few 4 stars, one Michigan commit that we're looking to flip. But JT, where do you want to start here, man? You want to start with just the commit already for this class, or what road are we going to take here?
Yeah, I think let's get right to the star power, I guess. Let's talk Bobby Kanka first and foremost.
Let's do it.
So Bobby's somebody that Michigan State has been recruiting ever since kind of the new staff got here. He wasn't really receptive to the last staff. I also don't know how hard they were pushing, but so ever since kind of Jonathan Smith and this staff has gotten there, they've made him a priority since their arrival. 6'4", 255. He is from Howell, Michigan. Goes to Howell High School. He was going to also take an official visit to Wisconsin while being committed to Michigan, but that one he ended up canceling. Meanwhile, he kept the Michigan State one. So shows that he's not just looking to flip from Michigan easily. But at the same time, Michigan State is the one school that does have the chance to potentially flip him if that is what happens. The other kind of thing here is that Michigan wasn't doing a great job with him the first few months of this calendar year, and that's where Michigan State was significantly outworking them in terms of communication and effort. But then It seems like recently they have started to reprioritize him a good amount. So whereas kind of in, I guess, March, April, we were thinking that it was probably like 60-40 Michigan State. Now it's definitely closer to 50-50, or maybe Michigan even has a little bit of an edge there now. So it'll all come down to this weekend, and the staff did a good job getting him to keep this visit, which Wisconsin was unable to do. So we'll see kind of what happens there.
Yeah, certainly newsworthy just to get him on campus. I mean, that's in no way a moral win. But hey, you know what? Just like you said, he did cancel the Wisconsin visit, so this is a 2-team race right now. Also, Michigan State and their staff is making no secret that they are prioritizing kids in a certain way, because the only other strong side defensive end they've had on campus so far is Micah Newton. So this is just the second kid. It's not like they're throwing out this huge wide net to every single strong side defensive end and saying, all right, first 2 that want it, it's here for the taking. No, they're making sure that these guys feel prioritized, that they're on top of the list. We'll see how far it takes them there with Bobby Kanka. But yeah, this would be, I don't want to say seismic. That seems like an over exaggerated word, but that would be as good of an off-field win as you can get, especially early on in Jonathan Smith's first full year recruiting cycle.
Right, especially now that they have restarted to prioritize Kanka. So it would definitely be like a fair and square kind of win where, sure, if you would have flipped him in April, you still would have taken him. But at the time, Michigan was kind of dropping the ball, but that's no longer the case currently. So, it definitely would be a real win. But I think position-wise, I think he definitely just kicks inside to being a traditional defensive tackle. So he'd be kind of in that group where they're also hosting this weekend. I guess, we'll transition right there. Derek Simmons. Yeah. He is a 6'3", 270-pound Frankenmuth, Michigan. You don't see a lot of recruits from up there.
That's right.
Product. He is now all the way up to number 9 in 24/7 Sports' State of Michigan rankings. And he's using all his 5 kind of OVs, man. I know they're kind of limitless these days, but you rarely see a kid go over 5, and he's going up to all 5. So he's coming to Michigan State off of a midweek official visit to Northwestern. And
Gotcha.
before that, he was at Cincinnati. And in the next couple weeks, he'll be going to Illinois and Purdue. So, like the Midwest regional kind of schools that are kind of on the similar plane as Michigan State. So we'll kind of see if they can get him to commit. We'll see if they can get him to cancel those upcoming visits. But if not, I'd like to think that the in-state school that has a need for DTs that is not kind of any worse off than the other schools in that list, that they should have a decent shot with them, but definitely way too early for any crystal ball. There's no reason to think that Michigan State currently has a lead or anything like that.
Fueled by Zenders, fueled by Bavarian and Chicken. This is great. I do love seeing the Frankenmuth product, come here this weekend. Hopefully it's a commit too. But yeah, man, Mauler. I mean, whatever film that you see like that, that's a physical, nasty guy in the trenches. It's what you want to see with your defensive tackles. So there's no wondering why the staff likes this kid so far. I mean, like he's pretty much everything that you want to see in a high school recruit right now. And 6'3", 270 pounds. Clearly the build's already there. So Derek Simmons, if you want to commit soon, I mean, that'd be great. But just like you said, he's taking every visit possible, which good for him. Good for him.
Yeah. And circling back to the theme that Bobby Kenka was part of, a commit elsewhere, there's another recruit of that mold, Chris McCorkle, visiting from all the way down from Sarasota, Florida, Cardinal Mooney High School. He is currently committed to the Indiana Hoosiers. He took his Indiana official back on May 31st. So he's kind of already seen what they have to offer once again. And now Michigan State is the only other visit that he seems to be taking. There was an Iowa visit that was scheduled temporarily, but that seems to be off the docket now. So seems like it's a 2-team race based on everything we know right now. We'll definitely keep digging into that to see if there is something scheduled for next weekend that just hasn't been reported yet. But for all intents and purposes, right now, it seems like a 2-team race. So he is I believe he's a composite 4-star. He's definitely at 24/7 Sports 89 rated 3-star. So he's right on that fringe. But yeah, he's somebody that if they could get him, he'd probably be I believe he'd be their highest ranked kid immediately. I know Leo Hannon is right there on the edge too, but it's seems like it's going to be one of those weekends where there's going to be 2 guys, and you hope that if you can flip one of the 2 and that guy becomes the headliner of your class, that would be a nice little jolt there.
Yeah, and with the other corner visiting so far this year being LaRue Zamorano, like that's another 4-star right there. Like that'd be a strong corner class. I mean, there's not much more explanation that you need on top of that. 2 guys that are either 4-star or borderline 4-star. That is fascinating though about the Iowa thing because Iowa's not nothing when it comes to specifically defensive back recruiting. I mean, how many times do they have a Thorpe candidate on that defense? Seems like quite often. I could be misremembering.
Yeah.
Not so sure, though, but nevertheless, within the last calendar year, they just saw Cooper DeJean go in the first 2 rounds of the NFL draft and be Mr. All-World in the secondary there. So, yeah, they know their stuff. For him to cancel that visit, and now it's a 2-horse race between Indiana and Michigan State, it's got at least one eyebrow arched. I mean, that would be a nice little pickup here. Also, a nice little win over another first-year head coach in Kurt Cignetti down there. I mean, just early rivalry with the Hoosiers down there. So, yeah, I mean, everything that you see about him, you can see why he's bordering on a 4-star, whether it's his body. I mean, he's a rangy kid. He's got some length on him. And you know what? I don't know what the numbers are. He just looks about a beat quicker than everyone else on the field, though, when I'm watching the tape. So really, really strong player.
For sure. And then sticking with the defensive side of the ball, Grant Bierman, 6'4", 220-pound linebacker from Westchester, Ohio, goes to Lakota West. He'll be coming back to Michigan State once again. He was here for the spring game, and I believe he was also there in either March or one of their junior days in February. But yeah, definitely not his first visit to Michigan State. He's driven up from Ohio a couple times, and he is coming off of visits to Purdue and Cincinnati. And right now, he doesn't have anything scheduled for next weekend that we know of. So it seems like Michigan State gets their last crack at him, just like they kind of wanted. And Purdue and Cincinnati didn't get him to commit on the spot. So here's a candidate where if Michigan State wants to get somebody that they don't have to try to get him to cancel his other visits. They're kind of just, it worked out in a way that this is the last visit and they try to lock him down afterwards. I can see Grant being a candidate for something of that nature. There's no indication that he's looking to commit this summer or that he's going to be swayed to commit on the visit, but just looking at how the visit schedule is shaping up there. But yeah, he can play the traditional linebacker spot. He's also strong enough to kind of come down and play that edge spot if that's where they want to move him to. But Michigan State has commitments from DJ White and Damari Malone over there at linebacker. So it's between him and Bradley Gompers for the third linebacker spot. So we'll kind of see if he takes it or if Gompers takes it. And those that may remember, Gompers visited the very first weekend of the month, and he was taking a couple other visits to Duke and somewhere else, I believe. But he's the Pittsburgh Central Catholic product. That's where Joe Rossi went to high school, and he knows the area well. So I think Michigan State's going to be in a good spot with both of those guys after this weekend. So it'll just come down to kind of who they want. And then they'll be at 3 linebackers after that. So after not recruiting linebackers for like most of the entire previous tenure, other than Jordan Hall, seems like Michigan State's going to have a good amount of linebackers in this class.
We're not respecting the Quavian Carter era of Michigan State football when it comes to linebacker recruiting. Wow, shame on you, JT, for
the medical boot. The medical boot industry was doing numbers,
just shooting through the roof. I got to say, with Bierman's recruitment, you mentioned the Purdue visit, you mentioned the Cincinnati visit.
Mm-hmm.
A little before all that, he did take an unofficial to Rutgers, and usually you see a kid takes an unofficial at Rutgers. It's like cool. What other high schools did he visit? But like Rutgers is killing it right now. Rivals has them ranked as the number 5 team in the country for next year's class. 24/7 Sports as I believe the number 9 or 10 team. Nevertheless, they're rolling. So that Rutgers unofficial isn't nothing. So I do wonder if you keep an eye on that, especially if he's not in a hurry to commit this summer. I wonder if the Scarlet Knights will be maybe a school he visits later on this upcoming fall.
Right.
Nevertheless, no chip shot of a recruitment, but hey, kid is a 4-star on Rivals. Clearly talented. So, yeah, this would be a nice little pickup to get for Michigan State.
Yeah, that's a good observation. And the one thing I will say is Rutgers is up to number 5 because they've taken 1 billion commits. So I don't know how many more spots they have left.
Yes, that's correct. Right.
Yeah. But yeah, they have done a good job of closing on a lot of the kids that they've hosted. And we will continue to try to get to the bottom of how that has transpired. Visiting this weekend as well, defensive end, 6'4", 230-pound Cal Thrush. He is from Columbus, Ohio, went to Upper Arlington High School. He is somebody that Michigan State has had momentum with for a while, ever since they've offered. He's one of those traditional D'Antonio guys. Looks good on tape. You kind of wonder why he doesn't have more offers. 86 rated kid, as I said, from Ohio. And it looks like Michigan State's his only visit right now. So I would not be surprised if maybe on the visit, but at the latest, maybe by the time the month ends, that he tries to lock it down and not waste any time and go ahead and become part of the class. Again, not intel, but you can kind of just read the tea leaves there of if he was dying to sway his mind or force himself to do more due diligence than necessary, that he might have scheduled some other visits. But I think he kind of knows that this is where he wants to be, and the staff wants him as well. So that's kind of how that is shaping up.
I've almost made it like a weekly question here, like, hey, what kid is most likely to commit this week? But yeah, just when you're seeing him not having any other visits on the docket, the offer sheet too, it's like, yeah, you could probably read the tea leaves right now that by maybe next Monday, this could be a commit. And of course, the crystal balls over there, 24/7 Sports, don't hurt that prediction as well. So I don't know. I feel like that makes a pretty easy answer for this week of, hey, who could commit this week? So there you have it.
For sure. Speaking of committing to Michigan State, we have a current commit already on the books for this weekend as well. Emmett Bork. He is a 6'6", 240-pound tight end from Oconomowoc, Wisconsin.
It rolls off the tongue. Oh, that's smooth. Oconomowoc.
Yeah, Oconomowoc, Wisconsin. And yeah, he did not take any official visits elsewhere, so he remains locked into Michigan State. Had a chance to watch his tape since the last time we talked about him a couple episodes ago. They just lined this kid out there and throw him jump balls, and he catches all of them.
Why not?
I mean, you would catch all of them in the highlight reels, otherwise they wouldn't be in the highlights. But just over and over again, like that's what they do. They just have him. They send him out there in the flat, and then they just go ahead and throw him lobs, and 40 yards, 30 yards down the field, it's a catch. So very interesting tape, very interesting dynamic there. And then you don't really see a lot of blocking in the tape, but kind of what you look for with tight ends that are such good receivers that their team just sends them out at receiver all the time is how do they shy away from contact? Do they embrace contact? Do they run through arm tackles? Do they get taken down easily? And he's very physical in all of those regards. So you would think he would translate well to blocking. So yeah, I'm very impressed with him. I think he should be rated a couple of points higher than he is. I know they don't have tangible blocking tape on him that much because he's out at receiver so much, kind of like Wyatt Hook was over in California in the 2023 class. Yeah. But I would still kind of bump him up to like 87, 88 personally. But yeah, I think they got a good one there early. I'm not sure how more people didn't stumble upon him. I'm not going to make it seem like he should be like a top 247 kid that could be starting as like a true freshman. But his profile and his stock should be much higher than it is, in my opinion.
They were intimidated by the high school name, I think. No one just wanted to try to say it and embarrass themselves, so that's probably it. But so not to like, peek around, but Jaden Savory, he still has BYU in his sights. I believe Duke is the other visit that he has slated. I think Wisconsin and Kansas were on the list, but I don't think those ever transpired. But
right.
Do you think we're any closer to hearing about what he wants to do in college, or when it comes to tight end recruiting? Where do things stand right now, you think?
Yeah, so Michigan State liked Tyler Kielmeyer. He was supposed to visit in the second weekend. Michigan State was the one to cancel that visit. So I think that's pretty much that tells us a good amount of what they think with Jaden Savory. So
yeah,
we'll see when he's going to commit, but I think definitely if he were to commit right now, it would be Michigan State. So we'll just have to see if he takes those remaining visits, because like you said, the two that were supposed to happen so far haven't happened so far. So it's right. And I know that both of the schools didn't just cancel on him. And at that point, you're just kind of wondering, and all right, is he going to take any of the visits? And if he does, and somehow, some way he gets swayed to not go to Michigan State, the staff is more okay with circling back to either Kielmeyer or finding new targets and being wrong than using up official visits right now on guys that they otherwise might not be taking, because they're very kind of worried about the fact that these are the same OV allotment, that this is the same OV allotment that you get to use going back to the January portal visitors that just visited, and the summer visits that are happening right now, and the winter OV visits that are going to be taking, or the winter transfer OVs that are going to be taking place, and also the in-season fall high school OV. So it's very, very tight in terms of OV numbers. That's why they're trying to be very, very I guess conservative with who they're bringing up. They're not going to be chasing after guys that they think that they're currently in fourth place for, hoping they can go and enter first place after the OVs. Whereas in future years, you might see more of those 4 stars that they're maybe third place in, and they're going to try to come back from behind and land on the visits. But this is not the year to do that when you had to take so many transfers and bring in so many OV transfers, and you're starting way behind the 8 ball. So yeah, that's kind of their strategy there, but they like where they sit with Jaden Savory, and they wouldn't have made that decision based on just a whim. But like I said, in the rare case that plans blow up there and things don't transpire the way they're supposed to, they're okay with that risk and just playing it safer with the OVs off the front end and then going from there.
There we go. And we also have a little rare thing coming up here, the old midweek visit for Michigan State coming up with running back DJ Duggar. Yes. How fun. Looking to be the second running back of this class. Potentially. Yep. We'll see. Obviously, he's got a lot of visits up ahead of him. But, yeah, take us away on DJ Duggar.
Yeah, DJ Duggar. He is from Pflugerville, Texas, Weiss High School, 6 foot exactly. He will be at Oklahoma State these next couple of days. And then he will be going ahead and taking the flight all the way up to Michigan State after that. And he is then going to be visiting Kansas State the following weekend. And he also has offers from Arkansas, TCU, Missouri, and a few others. One thing that I will point out about the midweek visit, where it's the kid coming right off of his other OV onto this one, which I believe is how it would go down because of the timing of it. How it usually goes is you schedule the flight from, like in this case, he's at Oklahoma State. So he'd be flying out from the Stillwater area, whatever airport's closest, to all the way to DTW. So the flight would be from the original OV to this one. when that's the case, assuming that is the case with the timing of this one starting Monday and the other one ending Sunday, and him probably landing in Michigan State on Sunday night, how it usually goes is that visit is rarely ever canceled. So
Okay.
you're going to have these visit plans, are the tickets booked, everything is already done in advance. So if the kid is feeling the temptation to commit to, in this case, Oklahoma State on Sunday, and then he's thinking, well, if I do commit, they're going to have to find me new flights to go home instead of going to East Lansing the day that I'm supposed to be flying, or I'm going to have to get a rental car and drive all the way back. And I don't know how far deep down south in Texas he lives. Maybe it's only a couple hours into Texas and it's doable, but chances are the kids rarely ever have the staff at that school they're at rebook tickets so they can cancel the visit to the next school instead of just going on the free visit, being done with it in a couple of days, and then going home and then committing to that first staff if they really want to. But if that happens, you've given the other school a chance to commit or at least like delay the commitment or jump into the league.
Right.
So we'll see, I guess. I have no reason to believe that he's dying to commit to Oklahoma State on the visit, but this is just something I've noticed the last few years, whereas there are visits that are easily cancelable that are a couple weeks out in advance. And then there's these nearly impossible to cancel visits where you're going from one visit to another. And, airline travel, Matt, we've had our horror stories, and it's not easy to get a new flight. So that's just one kind of inside baseball thing I wanted to share of that's kind of how that usually goes.
Did your friends ever make it back from Fort Myers, or are they still on the road? Are they still tooling up 75 right now?
Yeah, they ended up making it, I think, another 14 hours after I did. And but they were very excited that they got to stop at, I think, Buc-ee's. I think it's like it's like a hybrid convenience store / Yeah, actually, I don't really know what it is, so I'm just gonna stop there before
you can get gas, food, and a tailored suit all at Buc-ee's, all in one stop. You can get it all there, man. Yeah.
Fantastic spot. They're back, and I think the biggest thing about this weekend is you're looking at finally a couple guys that you think maybe they could go ahead and land some commitments from, in terms of Cal Thrush not having others, Grant Bierman not having any more, even though he's had a couple, and he's visited Michigan State a couple of times. And then maybe McCorkle, because he's already done his Indiana visit. Maybe he's very solid to Indiana and he's just doing a little due diligence, and maybe he'll be hard to flip. That I don't know. But just in terms of how visits are lining up, this is kind of a weekend that Michigan State always thought that they'd have more of a chance to get guys to commit on the visit than the first couple of weeks, and then even more so amplified next week. So I think it'll be an interesting, fun weekend for sure.
Underlying storyline here, like Grant Bierman, like that's just setting up on a platter for an NIL jersey windfall, right? I mean, tell me that the rib wouldn't be packed with beer man jerseys on the back, or any frat front yard party that you see on any given fall Saturday. Like that's setting up for success there. I don't know if it's as good as like Savage 21 on the hockey team. Like that's going away like the first ballot Hall of Fame NIL jersey for Michigan State athletics. But Bierman is also strong. So, I mean, hopefully they have a full PowerPoint for that at the football building to let him know how much money he could possibly make here off those jersey sales. But until then, that's the best idea.
Yeah, the only thing he has to make sure is that he doesn't pick a horrendous number. This comes to mind because Josh Sweat on the Eagles had a pretty normal number, had 94. And then this offseason, out of nowhere, he has decided that he's going to switch his number to 19. 19 for a defensive end, as a defensive end. Just a hideous number.
Do not like that. Yeah.
I can't root for his downfall because that would mean the Eagles wouldn't get any sacks, but
that's true. That's true.
I need there to be a line in his stats where he was like very good before, and then he switched to 19, and then very bad after. And I would need him to understand that this is what happened.
But, it was all the number. Right.
Oh, well. What can you do?
I hear you. Does that put a cap on recruiting for this weekend? I mean, only 6 players, but definitely like nice storylines with all 6 guys. So,
yeah, I believe so. Those are kind of all the guys that are visiting. Michigan State's gotten a couple commits, I think, or at least one commit since we last spoke. We talked about Braylon Collier the week prior, and Oh, and I guess more so than that, before we do that, let's talk about the camp that Michigan State had on the on last Monday,
Let's.
because this I don't want to forget. So
Sure.
Michigan State had a skills camp and an offensive line camp. I was not there on Tuesday when the offensive line, defensive line came. Um, this is going to be one of the more interesting kind of camp schedules to look back on, because Michigan State had a Monday and a Tuesday camp, not last week, and then a Monday and a Tuesday camp the following week. I don't know, and I'm going to ask people that have kind of been around for a while if this has been done before, but usually that's not how it goes. It's everyone comes in on one week, and then another week goes by, and then they come in again, and it's not divided up by positions. So I'll have to go back and see. Maybe D'Antonio did it this way at some point, but maybe not even before that, or maybe never in Michigan State history. But yeah, so it was very efficient. It was, since it was half, not exactly half, but like the offensive defensive linemen are a good chunk of the campers. It was a much smaller contingent, and you could actually watch the campers. And then obviously all the coaches were out there, even the coaches that didn't have kids out there competing that day. So when I went on the skills camp day on Monday, Coach M was there the whole entire time. Coach Lengi was there the whole entire time. So got to talk to a good amount of the coaches. It's as I've said in the last couple episodes, that the camp that followed, or the episode that followed the Wayne State camp, the staff here has like a very good personable sense to them, and I just enjoy talking to them, definitely. And even the guys behind the scenes, talked to Kurt Richardson for a while, talked to Cole Moore. So it's just you can tell kind of why the kids leave the visits, and they talk about the family feel for sure. Doesn't feel like you're talking to football coaches a lot of the time when you're talking to most of these guys.
And really quick, just to sneak this nugget in here right now as we talk about offensive line. This is from Spartans Illustrated. Rhino Blennis, always doing great work there. Gregory Patrick on campus right now, 2026,
Yes.
highly rated 4-star, top 200 kids. So legacy kid. I mean, this is not his first time in East Lansing. This won't be his last time in East Lansing. But yes, for those that want to just even take a look further than 2025, really, really solid 2026 player on campus right now per Spartans Illustrated. So that's exciting.
Definitely. He's going to be one to follow closely for the next year. So speaking of offensive linemen, just what I was going to say before we talked about camps, but I didn't want to forget that nugget. Murrieta Valley High School in Murrieta, California, Drew Nicholls, interior offensive lineman. They might start him out at tackle, but I think he's going to be interior offensive lineman when he gets here. He committed to Michigan State in between last weekend's visits and us going ahead and having this episode. He was going to visit UCLA and Boise State, but UCLA more so as a threat there. And despite being from California and having that UCLA visit coming up, he went ahead and committed to Michigan State on his visit. And that was obviously great to see. And now Coach M gets his first offensive line commit at Michigan State out of the high school ranks. And he was very impressed with the trees, Matt. Very impressed with the trees. I don't know if you saw the quotes he gave me.
I did. Yes.
But yeah, so first he gave this quote to Corey. He said on why he chose, or at what moment he knew that he was going to commit. And he said, quote, "I think right at the beginning when I saw the trees, just the entrance to the Capitol, just the entrance to the college alone was beautiful." And that's in all capital letters. And then he also mentioned to me when I asked what he took away from campus visually, said the campus and facilities were amazing. Being from California, the weather and the trees were a very nice change. East Lansing is definitely a college town as well. Tons of young people there and great connection opportunities. Having family that are alumni also helps a lot. I have 3 uncles that went there. So good note there. I didn't know about the 3 uncles that went to Michigan State, but good W for trees. Big W for trees on the recruiting assist. I will find a way to enter them into the secondary recruiter box so they can get some recruiter points.
That's our East Lansing foliage. That's what we're talking about. Strong showing for them. Yeah, and he gave a quote to Spartans Illustrated too that was very similar to that as well, saying that I want to play in like different climates. I mean, this kid grows up outside of San Diego, I believe, if not maybe a little closer to LA. But nevertheless, all this kid knows in his life is constant 85 and sunny weather under palm trees, and he's said enough of that. Give me the sleet, give me the wind, give me the snow. This guy is all about adversity. Yeah. This is what we are looking for right now. Yeah. That is what I'm talking about. That's what you want in an offensive lineman. Love it.
Absolutely. Anything else, Matt?
Xavier Tillman about to be an NBA champion, so it's very exciting. That's all I got.
This is true. This is true.
The finals
only
have
positive to
sucked,
the Eagle Empire winning
except
this.
for I was going to say this final sucks, but Xavier Tillman's going to get it ringed up, so that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Good for him. Good for him.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about the Celtics, so we'll just
No,
we won't go
I
on
don't either.
we won't go on an off-topic tangent this time around.
No, keep it short. That's right.
Yeah.
Happy Father's Day, everyone, for all the fathers out there. That's right.
Yes, that indeed. And then I'm trying to think. Yeah, so this time it wasn't normal timing, obviously. Last night didn't work for us, so we went ahead and did it on Thursday. But I think next week we should be back on Wednesday, and then we'll be there to preview the 4th weekend of visitors, and should be a good one. And then after that, the next episode we'll be able to preview kind of the whole month and how it went and who committed and where the board kind of will have spots after that. But with that, appreciate you guys tuning in to this week's episode of the SD4L Show, and we'll see you next week.